I paid my girlfriend's rent for a year. Not because she cried or begged me to, but because I loved that girl so much I could do absolutely anything for her. All it took was one look, one helpless sigh, and I stepped in. 12 months, $1,300 each time, straight out of my account. No questions asked. And when I got laid off and finally asked her for help, just once, she tilted her head and said, "That's not my problem." That line didn't just sting. It killed something in me. But that's not even the wildest part. Hold on, please subscribe to this channel. Give this story a thumbs up and comment where you're watching from. I'd love to know. Let me back up a little. Leah was a beautiful girl. She had this mixed curls and chipped black nail polish that made her look like she was straight out of Pinterest. The kind of girl who treated responsibility like an allergic reaction. The only thing with Leah was that she was hella broke. To be exact, when we met, she had $42 in her checking account, a 6-month gym membership she never used, and 3 rent notices taped to her door. But that never seemed like a problem to me. I've always been the kind of guy who steps us into a relationship, pays bills, plans trips and dates and never asked for a 50-50th split. My dad would actually break my balls if he found out I made a girl pay for a date, even if it was just an ice cream date. With Leah, things were easy. Even with debt crumbling her, she moved like the world owed her peace. She talked fast, slept late, and had 10 tabs open in her brain at once. And I got sucked in quickly. I met her at a game night a mutual friend threw. She was losing badly at Uno and didn't care, laughing, calling people out, making chaos look fun. I don't even remember the rest of the night. Just her. We went out for tacos 2 days later. She didn't bring her wallet, which of course wasn't a problem. By the 3rd date, she was at my place 3 nights a week. I'd wake up early to go to work, IT support for a logistics firm downtown, and she'd still be in my bed, wrapped in my hoodie, scrolling her phone like deadlines didn't apply to her. Freelance, she told me. Mostly graphic stuff. Some influencer branding. I kinda do everything. I never saw a client email. Just mood boards, Canva tabs, and affirmations. 3 months in, she told me her rent jumped up to $1,300. I remember her pacing my apartment barefoot, biting her thumbnail, ranting about her scam of a landlord. Then she paused, looked at me with wide, worried eyes, and said, "I might have to move back to Tampa." Her voice cracked on Tampa, like the city personally betrayed her. I didn't even think. I just said, "I can help." She blinked like she couldn't believe it. Then she wrapped her arms around my neck and whispered, "You're the realest man I've ever met." Those words hit me like a drug. I'd always been the nice guy, the helper, the you deserve better friend-zoned dude. Now here I was, being the one, providing, protecting, needed. So I paid her rent. That first month felt good. I was proud, even. I told myself this was what love looked like: partnership, support, sacrifice. The next month, she didn't bring it up. Just let it slide until the due date. Then casually mentioned her bank app wasn't working. I sent the money. By the 5th month, it was just understood. We didn't talk about it. We didn't budget together. She'd buy takeout twice a day, complain about being so broke, and post photos of her oat milk latte and avocado toast with captions like "soft life only." Meanwhile, I was cutting back on my own groceries, skipping lunch, taking extra shifts, all so she wouldn't have to leave her over-decorated apartment filled with plants she never watered. And the wildest part? I still thought she loved me. We never really fought. She'd kiss me before I left for work, call me her rock, send flirty selfies midday. It felt good to be needed. But slowly, the weight of carrying everything started to crush me. She never offered to pay for dinner. Never asked how work was going. Never said thank you. I told myself she was just struggling. That this was temporary. That once her big client came through or her side hustle took off, she'd be back on her feet and maybe even spoil me for once. Then I lost my job. My company downsized, mass layoffs. I came home with a box full of my desk stuff and a sinking feeling in my gut. She was on the couch watching a YouTube vlog about crystals. I sat down and told her, straight up, that I was out of work. That I'd need help for a while. That things might be tight. She stared at me like I'd just told her I ran over her cat. Then she shook her head, like I was ruining her vibe. Damn, that sucks, she said. But that's not my problem. I laughed at first. Thought she was joking. But she kept scrolling. No sympathy. No offer. Just vibes. That night, I laid on the couch while she snored in my bed. Because yeah, she stayed over. And I kept thinking about all the times I showed up for her. Covered for her. Fed her. Paid her damn rent. And now, I needed her once. Once. I didn't say anything the night she said it. That's not my problem. Just sat there and nodded, like her words hadn't just cracked open something raw inside me. She fell asleep in my bed like she hadn't just gutted me. Me? I laid on the couch with my arm over my eyes, pretending the room was just too bright. But that night, something shifted. I didn't feel like her boyfriend anymore. I felt like her ATM. And the worst part was, I'd let it happen. The next few days, I acted normal. Made breakfast. Cracked jokes. Didn't mention the job loss again. I needed to see something. I needed to confirm what I already knew deep down. She didn't ask how my job hunt was going or offer gas money. Groceries. Not even a ride to a job fair I told her about. But she still let me pay for her Uber Eats order like clockwork. Sent me her Cash App tag like she always did. No hesitation. And then came the night her phone lit up on my nightstand. She was in the shower, humming some Doja Cat song, steam creeping under the door. I wasn't snooping, wasn't planning to, anyway. But the screen kept flashing, and curiosity punched harder than guilt. Group chat. Instagram DMs. I shouldn't have looked. I did. The first one was between her and someone named Tay. Her best friend, I assumed. They were laughing, typing LOL, and crying emojis, about me. Tay, girl, you got that man doing husband duties and you ain't even giving him the girlfriend experience. Leah, I knew he's still paying my rent. Still. Tay, rent and food? What's left for you to do LOL? Leah, be cute and mysterious. I scrolled further. There were memes. One of the guys holding up a sign that said provider with a clown face edited on it. She replied under it, my man for real. My throat went dry. But it wasn't even the worst part. There was another chat. This one was different. At Travis.b*******, when am I seeing you again? Leah, I don't know. He's been home more now. He lost his job. Travis. Perfect time to slide out then LOL. Leah. Honestly. I'm thinking about it. Been tired of playing good girlfriend for a while. Travis. You never were my girl, anyway. She replied with a selfie. My hoodie. My bed. A pouty face like nothing in the world could touch her. I stared at the phone like it was about to burst into flames. Then I put it down. Back exactly where it was. I didn't slam a door. Didn't scream. I didn't even tell her I saw it. She walked out of the bathroom 10 minutes later, towel on her head, scrolling like her hands had never typed a single betrayal. She plopped beside me, tucked her legs under mine, and asked if I could help her order pizza. I smiled. And right then, I started making a plan. I didn't want revenge. Not the messy kind. Not the dramatic throw her stuff out the window kind. I wanted clarity. A clean break. Something she couldn't twist later. The next morning, I applied for every job I could find. Remote, in-office, part-time, full-time. I fixed up my resume like my life depended on it. Because now, it kind of did. Over the next 2 weeks, I played the part, the doting, patient boyfriend. I paid her rent one last time. Cooked dinner twice. Laughed when she made jokes about broke guys giving relationship advice on TikTok. And while she slept, I backed up everything. Screenshots. Bank transfers. Rent receipts. DMs. Evidence. Because when I walk away, I want the truth to walk with me. She thought I didn't know. Thought I was too soft, too sweet, too stupid to see it. And maybe I had been. But that was over now. I got a job offer 3 weeks later. Better salary. Remote. I didn't tell her. Just smiled when she complained that I was too quiet lately. I told her we should go on a weekend trip, just the two of us. She lit up, started packing in her head already. Asked if I'd cover it. I said sure. Why not? She didn't notice I was only packing my stuff. I didn't leave with drama. I left with silence. On the Friday morning Leah thought we were going on a trip. I set my key on her dresser and walked out. No note. No explanation. Just gone. I had packed all my stuff the night before and tucked it into the trunk of my car while she was passed out on the couch with her AirPods in. I didn't take anything that wasn't mine. I didn't even take back the TV I bought for her birthday. Let her have it. Let her sit there and watch reruns of Fake Love on a screen I paid for. By noon, her messages started coming in. Hey, did you leave already? Earl, where are you? Did you forget your charger or something? Babe, are you seriously not answering me? I didn't respond. Just watched the notifications stack like bricks. She called 7 times. Then started messaging me from other accounts. When that didn't work, she started calling our mutuals. I got a text from my friend Marcus later that evening. Yo man. Leah said you ghosted her on some weird power trip? You good? I didn't explain. I didn't need to. The truth didn't require my defense anymore. I wasn't looking for sympathy. I was looking for space. For self-respect. The next few days were quiet. And then on the 4th day, I made the mistake of checking my DMs. So this is what you do now? You vanish? After everything I gave up for you? After all I put up with? Wow. You didn't step up once and now you're mad I couldn't carry you? You were barely even a boyfriend. I felt like your mom most of the time. You're a little boy. That's the real problem. You didn't want a girlfriend. You wanted a lifeline. My hands were trembling, but not because I was hurt. No, this time I felt furious. She felt like my mom? I stared at the screen like it had personally slapped me across the face. I had sacrificed lunch breaks, sleep, savings, for her. I covered rent while she played digital fairy princess and texted other men in my hoodie. And she wanted to rewrite the story like I was the burden? She didn't know I'd seen the texts. So I called her. She answered on the first ring, full of that fake confidence. The kind that wears off fast when the mirror talks back. Wow, she said. You finally grew a spine. I didn't yell, but my voice was sharp enough to draw blood. You want to talk about spines? Let's talk. You sat in my apartment every weekend pretending we were building something, while you laughed behind my back and flirted with guys who offered you less than I already gave. You went through my phone, she shot back, voice rising. Yeah, I said. I did. And I'm glad I did. Because I needed to see it for myself. How little you thought of me. How little you ever thought of me. That's invasion of privacy. No, Leah, I cut in. What you did was an invasion of trust. You were never broke. You were lazy. You didn't need help. You needed a host. Silence. And then, of course, she laughed. That dry, petty kind of laugh people use when they're cornered. You know what your real issue is, she snapped. You don't know how to be a man. A real man doesn't throw it in his girl's face when she's going through something. You call yourself a provider? One setback and you fall apart. You call yourself a girlfriend? I shot back. One challenge and you said that's not my problem. You didn't just fail me, Leah. You exposed yourself. There was another pause. This one longer. Heavier. You'll regret this, she said finally. You think any woman's gonna put up with your moody ass and fragile ego? You'll come crawling back the second you realize nobody wants to build with you. I almost laughed. Almost. No, I said. See, that's your mistake. I don't want someone to build with me. I want someone who doesn't tear me down while I'm laying the bricks. I ended the call. Blocked her again. Sat back and let the rage dissolve into something colder. Quieter. I came back to the apartment expecting another fight. Another cold shoulder. More silence packed in corners like dust. But instead, I walked in and found nothing. Leah was gone. Her stuff was cleared out. Clothes, makeup bag, toothbrush, all vanished like she'd never been there. No goodbye. No note. Not even the decency of a text. I looked around the apartment and, for the first time in a year, it breathed. I could hear myself think again. I sat on the couch and exhaled a relief I didn't even know was sitting on my chest. She was really gone. And for once, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt released. The next morning, I called my landlord, put in my notice, and spent the weekend moving my things into a smaller place across town. Cheaper. Quieter. Just mine. No pink throw blankets. No fake succulents on the windowsill. No more lying to myself about loving someone who didn't love me back. At least not the way I needed. Weeks passed. Work picked up. I started sleeping better, eating better. I thought maybe that was the end of it. Then one day, on a random Tuesday lunch break, I walked into the cafe 2 blocks from the office, same one I always go to, and saw her. Leah. Sitting by the window. Laughing at something a man just said. A man I recognized. My stomach dropped, not from jealousy, but from sheer absurdity. Because the guy sitting across from her, smiling like he just hit the jackpot, was Elijah. My coworker. The one I literally shared project updates and budget spreadsheets with every Tuesday. I almost walked out. Almost. But something in me said, nah. Say hi. So I walked over, calm as ever. Elijah, I said, like I just ran into him at the printer. Didn't know you liked this spot too. He looked up, surprised. Yo, what's good, man? We shook hands. Leah's smile cracked just slightly. Leah, I said, nodding at her like a stranger I'd met once at a party. Good to see you. She blinked. Oh, hey. I didn't pull a scene. Elijah cracked a joke about office coffee tasting like printer ink. I laughed. She didn't. I walked out with my iced black, sipping it slow while their faces blurred behind the glass. That afternoon, Elijah came by my desk. Hey man, he said, real low. This is kinda awkward. But Leah said she feels like you were giving her weird vibes. She mentioned you two maybe knew each other. I paused. Took a long sip of my coffee. Yeah, I said finally. We used to date. He raised his brows. For real? Yeah. Ended about a month ago. Elijah nodded slowly. Ah, damn. That explains some stuff. I didn't elaborate. I didn't have to. He looked conflicted, like he just found out the dog he adopted used to bite kids at the shelter. Now, I could have left it there. Could have taken the high road. But where's the fun in that? So a week later, when Elijah stopped by again, this time asking, hey bro, can I ask you something personal about Leah? I leaned back in my chair and said, sure, pull up a seat. He sat down. I closed my laptop. And I spilled every damn thing. I told him how I paid her rent for a year while she lied to my face. How I watched her text other guys under the blanket we bought together. How she used to mock my job, my goals, even my clothes, then go cry about struggling on social media for sympathy likes. How she told me, to my face, that me losing my job was not her problem. And how she walked out like a thief in the middle of the day, leaving behind nothing but a shattered version of the person I used to be. I watched Elijah's face shift and his smile gone. I had no idea, he said. Yeah, I nodded. Most people don't. Damn, he said. He didn't say much after that. Just nodded, said he appreciated the honesty, and walked off like a man who just realized he sat in wet paint. I wasn't trying to ruin anything. I wasn't warning him. I just gave him the truth. What he chose to do with it was his business. But it felt good. God, it felt good. Like watching someone try to sell the same broken story you returned last month. I didn't follow up, check Leah's socials, or ask Elijah for updates. But a few days later, she blocked me, on everything. I guess he told her. Maybe she denied it. Maybe she pulled out the same "you're just bitter" card she used on me. But this time, it didn't land. Because someone else saw her for who she really was. Not through my words, but through her own actions. I walked into work that Friday, head high, playlist bumping in my headphones. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel bitter. I didn't feel broken. I felt like me again. And Petty looked good on me. So I wore it proudly. I didn't expect to become close friends with Elijah. After everything that went down with Leah, I figured we'd keep it professional, cordial, maybe. A few head nods in the hallway, maybe a mutual meme once in a while. But life has a weird sense of humor. Turned out, Elijah and I had way more in common than I thought. Music tastes, weird jokes about spreadsheets, our mutual hatred for team-building exercises. Dude even had a knack for remembering everyone's birthday in the office. But more than anything, he was just solid. One of those guys who didn't do drama, didn't gossip, didn't pretend. A real bro. A few weeks after our talk, he pulled me aside after work. I broke things off with Leah, he said. I raised an eyebrow, more curious than anything. Yay! He nodded. Caught her sending her nude pictures to some guy. Said it was just someone from her yoga class, but... Bro, who the fuck sends their nude to their yoga instructor? That girl is so dumb. She doesn't know what she wants, he said. I wasn't surprised. But I wasn't smug either. I just nodded. Look, he added. I don't hold it against you for telling me everything. You didn't bash her. You just told the truth. I respect that. It was weird. This guy had dated my ex. I had a history with the woman who almost became his future. And somehow, instead of making things messy, it just made things clear. Leah fumbled. Twice. 2 good guys. 2 chances at something real. And she chose ego, attention, and games. Her loss. Elijah and I started teaming up on more projects at work. Late nights, crazy deadlines, client calls that lasted into the evening. We powered through it all. Somewhere along the line, we pitched an idea for a revamped digital platform for our clients. Something sleeker, smarter, more user-driven. 6 months later, that single idea helped increase our company's client retention and boosted revenue by 27%. Not even exaggerating. The CEO literally shouted us out during the quarterly review meeting and handed us both bonuses bigger than anything I'd ever seen on a check before. We celebrated with overpriced wings and cheap beer at a hole-in-the-wall bar. At one point, Elijah raised his glass and said, "To being the dudes she'll never replace." We laughed. But not in a bitter way. We were past that. Truth is, I stopped thinking about Leah. Not in the angry, obsessive way I used to. She'd come up sometimes, mutual friends would mention her, or I'd see a flash of her name on someone else's feed, but it didn't sting anymore. It was like seeing a photo of a jacket you used to wear every day that doesn't fit anymore. Nice once. Just, not for me now. I got promoted a few months after that. Senior analyst. New office. A team under me. Bigger responsibilities. Better pay. I bought myself a car, not fancy, but clean, reliable. Took my mom out to dinner just to see her smile. Started therapy. Got serious about saving. Reclaimed my time, my space, my peace. People talk about glow-ups like they're all about looks. New haircut, gym body, fresh wardrobe. Mine wasn't that loud. I didn't glow up. I grew up. I learned how to say no. Learned how to spot red flags before they turned into disasters. Learned that just because someone says they love you, doesn't mean they know how to. I don't hate Leah. I don't miss her either. And that's the part that surprised me most. I thought she'd always be some ghost in my memory. But when I think about my life now, her name doesn't even come up. That's the real healing. Elijah and I still grab lunch twice a week. We talk about everything from sports to investing to the weird habits our coworkers have. He's dating someone new now, someone grounded, kind. He says it feels different. Real. I smiled when he told me. You deserve that, I said. So do you, he replied. And you know what? He's right. If you made it this far, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. I've got more raw stories coming. Trust me, you won't want to miss them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.